Hello and happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to this week's new episode of Breakfast with Boom. I am your host, Mr. BoomStick XL, and my God, what a way to kick off the holiday weekend. I got a chance to hang out with my brothers here today. We have some incredible topics. We're going to be talking Dead Space remake. We're going to be talking about Hideo Kojima and his team up with Mads and whether or not that's going to be the Xbox title. We're also going to be talking about on the back end of that conversation of whether or not it's going to be a big miss for Microsoft not to introduce Hideo Kojima as a partner with Xbox at the Tokyo Game Show later this month. And of course, wow, man, PlayStation was a few years ago known as the Greatness Station. Their AAA bombs that they continue to release impress. But my goodness, they keep stepping in it. And once again, folks, a new first-party game, some more controversy, 9 editions, some that you get to get upgrade with. And this is where smart delivery is going to come into question. And it's being praised all over the industry. And it's not being praised because Microsoft recently did something. It's because Sony isn't doing it. And more people are now starting to come around on what smart delivery means. And more important, how important it is for said gamers like us. Whether you're diehard, whether you're playing your phone, whether you're playing your tablet, whether you're playing the toilet, it doesn't matter. If you enjoy games, you're a gamer. And there's obviously, as with gaming, it comes an expense. And Microsoft seems to be doing it right on almost every avenue. But let's introduce everyone. We're going to start first with my brother from another. He missed Tuesday's Xbox Factor podcast because of real life work, but he's here today. Pong So, what's up, brother?
Oh, what a great Friday. Like you said, Boom, starting off the holiday weekend right. Nice long weekend for most of us here in America. So this is a fantastic Friday. I love it, and I'm glad that you got me the invite to come on after I missed Tuesday because, man, as real life gets more and more busy, I cherish these times, these shows more and more and more because I finally get to talk after having to sit in the office all week and not be able to talk hardly at all to anybody about gaming. So I'm happy to be here, Boom. You got some fantastic topics. Of course, it's fantastic to be on a show with BitCloud and Crispy. That is always a rare opportunity. So, man, I'm happy to be here. Let's get down to business, Boom.
Well, thank you so much for being here. And, of course, the 10K man himself, BitCloud Gaming. What's going on? First of all, once again, congratulations. It's always going to be extra special because you did it live on this show a couple of weeks ago. You hit 10K, and you know what? It's well-deserved. How are you? And again, as a Sony representative and one that does it well, better than most, to be honest. This is going to be a bit of a head scratching kind of a conversation towards the back end of today's show.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's good to be back. It's been a minute. It really feels like it has been a minute. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Let's go ahead and knock these topics out.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, you have a super huge guest coming onto your show, and we will talk about that on your outro. I want everyone to get over there and watch that.
No, he's excited.
A big fan of Resident Evil. If you're a fan of Resident Evil, folks, specifically Resident Evil 8, you're going to want to check out this show. It is a big guest, and of course, the best voice in the business. You know him as the chainsaw-wielding community member, best of the best, Sir Crispy Bomb. What's up, brother? How you feeling?
Sir, what's up, everybody? Good morning. And definitely we got some topics here, and one's gonna probably get a little spicy, but it's well deserved at this point. I don't know. You ain't making me want to get a Sony PlayStation, Sony. So it is what it is, man. We'll get into it.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, again, what's interesting about the conversation, because this isn't going to be a pile on the Sony kind of a conversation. See, we don't do that here. When we're going to criticize, I think it's fair to say that my shows specifically we will criticize Microsoft when they make a mistake. We will criticize Sony when they make a mistake. We will criticize Nintendo, but what we don't do is go out of our way to make it into a hate fest. And I think that is what's super important about today's conversation, because I'm a transparent gamer, because I like being clear as glass. I have pre-ordered the $200 Horizon Forbidden West Collector's Edition because two reasons. One, if you've been following me for a while, it's my favorite franchise, my favorite new IP for Sony. I have played that game back and forth. Now, I have not platinumed it, that is for certain, because there's certain, like the hunting missions, I just couldn't stomach. There were some things about the game that bothered me, so I'll never get that platinum because there's some things I just don't want to do. But I have the statue of Aloy literally sitting on the side of me over here. She's a phenomenal character. The world is phenomenal. So just so you understand, I will be criticizing Sony, but I am getting the digital edition because I'm spending $200. But again, if you follow me, you understand that I always buy Sony's collector's editions because they're boss. They're fantastic. But with that said, even though I am buying it, there's still some question as to, did Sony lie? Because I have the documentation in front of me saying that all of the upgrades would be free, and I'm going to read that verbatim. That came to us through the PlayStation blog during their E3. So it's going to be a very interesting conversation. But what I do want to open up with is some Hideo Kojima news. And he posted 23 hours ago on Twitter regarding his interaction with Mads Mikkelsen, or Mikkelsen. I'm not sure if I'm butchering the poor man's name, but he's a fantastic actor. Obviously, he was a main villain within Kojima's last game, also known as Death Stranding, a game that I originally did not buy, did not think that I was going to enjoy. And I wanted to putting 60 hours into it because simply it was a very intriguing game. And I think being that was a single player experience, the multiplayer back end experience was pretty fascinating, how people would come into your world and build bridges and leave things set up for you to make your trek easier. It's genius. And, you know, maybe speaking out loud or on paper, it doesn't make sense, but if you played it, you know what I'm talking about. Well, here is what Hideo Kojima had to say regarding Mads Mikkelsen. He says, I have a number of ideas that I want to create with Mads as the main character. I once explained one of them to Mads. He listened intently, but when I told him the title, he broke his face. Now, I don't know exactly what it means. Did he laugh? Did he actually has face fall off? I don't know. He seemed to think I was joking, and I was serious, though. The tentative title was Mads Max. I mean, I'm sure he's being facetious in some way. And as great as a conversation that is, it's the second half of my spiel, so to speak, that I want to talk to the gamers about, what I want to talk to my panel members about, that I think is worthy of certainly the conversation we're going to have. But before we get around to that, got to thank a lot of people in the chat. Raiden Blade continues to be unbelievably show his generosity with a 10-pound super chat. And he says, sorry, I have to start some slander. Horizon Forbidden West. So he says, so King David, you are right about the credit card swipe on PlayStation 5, as now it looks like it's getting installed on a PlayStation 4 too. He drops an additional 5-pound super chat. Says, I believe that extra charge on games are to pay Microsoft for use of their servers, because there are no reasons for the extra charge. And I mean, you're certainly right about the extra charge. Now, why it is, listen, I'm not making excuses for Sony. I think the $10, especially for the first party, is gross. And I say that because PlayStation fans are the most passionate when it comes to their brand, right? They're the most vocal when it comes to their first party games. And if this was coming from EA and Activision and 2K, well, you know, they're third party, and I'm not saying that it's right. I'm saying that it's like, okay, it's third party, but it's coming from Sony first party. And I think when what makes this conversation worse on every time something like this happens is the fact when you look on the other side of the aisle, folks, listen, this games these podcasts that we do, these shows that we do weekly, when you talk about PlayStation, you almost indicatively have to speak about Xbox and vice versa. And the problem with this particular situation is Sony is doing all of this, and Microsoft is simply saying, play where you want, when you want, for one low price. All upgrades are free. Play on Game Pass. You don't have to buy the title. $15 a month gets you this smorgasbord of games. And when you look at what Sony is doing, it is egregious. It is disgusting. And of course, I'm a perfect example, and I'm a man of my word. I did not buy the latest DLC that was $30, $20 obviously for Icky Island, and $10 to be able to use my controller that I've already paid for twice because I have two of them. I didn't buy the DLC. I will get it or play it when it's in PlayStation Plus. It was Horizon Horizon Forbidden West is a bit of a different one for me because A, it's a new game. B, it's one of my favorite new franchises, and I get all their collector's editions, so it doesn't affect me. But again, we will back end all of that momentarily. I want to get back to Kojima. This month, at the end of the month, and rolls into the first week of October, we are going to be privy to Tokyo Game Show. Now, many moons ago, this was as big as Gamescom or E3, and it's years past since really importing is not a thing anymore. It's kind of scaled down, but Microsoft is going to be there, and they're going to have a 50-minute presentation. Now, Aaron Greenberg has already come out and said, temper expectations. This is for our fans here in this region. Makes perfect sense. But here is where I bring Kojima into the conversation, folks. We know that the deal is done. It's signed. We've heard that from numerous people. Kojima has signed with Xbox for his next title. He's talking openly about working with Mads Mikkelsen on a new game. Again, facetiously, it's not going to be Mads Max. Obviously, that's ridiculous, but we know that they're going to potentially be working together. Here's my question for the panel. Here is my question for the chat, and I will continue in on the super chats because some more have come in that are pretty big. This is a golden opportunity for Microsoft, specifically the Xbox division, they're in the process of rebuilding. They've rebuilt their reputation here in the States. They've done it very well in the EU. And now they are looking to bring Xbox to millions of Japanese and gamers around the Asia region. And the way that they can do that, the best way that they can say, hey, listen, we are in this for real is, and I know some people may disagree with this, is to have Kojima come out and whether they show something of his game, talk about his game, or at least talk about the partnerships. If that doesn't happen, I personally think it is going to be a bit of a miss for Microsoft, because when better a chance to talk to your Asia or your Japanese audience than the Tokyo Game Show? Pong, so I want to go to you first on this. Do you agree or disagree with what I'm saying?
Well, here's the deal. There's a couple of different ways to look at this. I think personally, and you can hear me, right, Boom? Because I had a bunch of errors pop up. So, all right, cool. I think you can look at this a couple different ways. First of all, it would be a big sign of respect for what they've got going on, specifically in Japan with the Tokyo Game Show, to make that announcement there, right? It would be a big deal to bring Hideo out and say, hey, we'd like to announce our partnership on this stage because we know what a huge deal he is still to this day over there, right? And that would be one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is, I don't think it would be a missed opportunity if they didn't do it, because there is still, like the Video Games Awards coming up, which is worldwide a bigger deal than the Tokyo Game Show. And we've seen that obviously Xbox has the idea that they want to get their big news out in front of as many people across the world, not just location specific. When we saw what they did with the Halo news and the launch date going to Jeff Keighley, right? So there was a reason why they didn't do it on their own stage. So I think it would be a big deal to do it there. I think it would be a great sign of respect for that region specifically to have an announcement of that size on that stage. So I definitely think it's certainly a possibility. Now, with what Aaron, came out and said, I don't believe it's going to happen just because he knows. Not that they haven't said temper your expectations and then had some big news before. They have done that as well. But I think Aaron knows that a Kojima announcement worldwide is a big deal. So I don't think he would tell everybody necessarily temper expectations that it's going to be region specific kind of news because Kojima transcends all of that, right? Kojima is still to this day, whether you like him or whether you hate him, he's still one of the biggest names out there as far as devs go, and arguably the biggest one. So I think that's something that you save for a much bigger show. And no disrespect to the Tokyo Game Show. I'll be watching to see what kind of announcements come out of there. But we saw last year with the Tokyo Game Show, that they focus on Minecraft because Minecraft is so big over there, and we saw some smaller announcements. I think Balan Wonderworld was a big part of that show last year. That was very region specific. So I think that's what we can continue to expect when they go to the Tokyo Game Show. Now, could there be something else there, something smaller that shows up on that stage that still is exciting, but maybe is more niche or more region specific? Like, let's say an RPG. Let's say a Japanese RPG, or they're partnering with another studio over there to make something that is going to definitely appeal more to that side of the world than to this side of the world. Yes, I think that definitely could still be something that's in the cards. I just think Kojima's too big. I'd love to see it. Don't get me wrong. I want to see it happen, but I just think Kojima's too big just to limit it to the Tokyo Game Show. And again, no offense, but you just don't have the eyes on the Tokyo Game Show of the world that you do at, let's say, a VGA. So I think that's something that we have to consider. But I'm excited for it either way. I think it's only, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when at this point. I think if all the smoke that we've been hearing about for the past 6, 7, 8 months now, and Grubb's reporting is usually right on. Yep. And so if that's all been real and all that stuff's been good and nothing's fallen apart in the meantime, I think we definitely are going to get that announcement at some point this year. I just would expect it to be at the Video Game Awards. But again, my excitement for TGS, I love every show. I love getting any kind of glimpse at new content. I can't wait to see what they do actually bring out at the Tokyo Game Show. If there is something new and cool that we weren't expecting there. I think they're in the position to do that now pretty much at every show that they come across. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, me too. I'm looking forward to it. I've always watched with a fandom when it comes to the Tokyo Game Show, specifically because I'm Capcom, big fan of that, obviously, and you never know what they're going to bring to the table, what an announcement they're going to bring. I am expecting a big announcement for Persona 5 to finally come to Xbox. That would be a great place for it. Yes. Also, going into Xbox Game Pass more specifically, which I think is going to be a big part of the conversation. Big Cloud, listen, Pong makes a lot of great points, and again, whether you love him, you hate him, or you're somewhere lukewarm about him, Jeff Keighley shows are probably, at least in the last few years, the most covenant. Yeah, they as last year's was done magnificently. It was probably my favorite show of last year, and considering that we were smack dab in the middle of the pandemic, which we still are now, but back then, people were still waiting to get vaccines. It was done in a way that it blew me personally completely away. But here's the thing, and of course, Pong hits on a lot of points. There is no bigger show, and would it be surprising to have Jeff Keighley's good friend Hideo Kojima come out and talk Xbox? No, it wouldn't. But here is the thing. Japan is a region where Microsoft has specifically failed terribly. And yesterday, if you tuned into the Xbox Factor podcast, I read verbatim of an interview that Phil Spencer had talking about how he is extremely unhappy with the way Xbox does in that region of the world. And yes, is it good? He said it. Are we going to beat Nintendo and PlayStation anytime soon? No. And he says that. But with that said, a Kojima announcement in some form or fashion makes people in that region where they have failed look at Xbox potentially different than they did before the announcement. And I say that because maybe they don't give us gameplay. Maybe we don't get a trailer. Because if you remember, when Death Stranding first was announced, and it was years before the game came out, they had that whole unbelievable CG trailer, which is, that's Kojima in a nutshell. So I can see something that like that happening at the Game Awards to give people a taste like, hey, this is an Xbox exclusive, because Xbox is winning here in the States. They're winning here in the EU. They're winning here in Mexico. They're winning in Canada. The brand has completely did a 180. People are excited. People are talking about the advantages of having Game Pass and cloud gaming and smart delivery. So they're winning. But for you, do you think there is some sense of importance or urgency to get a Kojima type announcement at the Tokyo Game Show where they are trying to win?
So the thing about Tokyo Game Show, and Pong brought it up really, really well too, it's really the eyes on the show. The thing about it is it's not
a big show.
It's not that big like it was before when G4. Remember how G4 was our avenue to watch it when Adam Sessler? It was big at that point. Tokyo Game Show is big over there, but it's not really big down here. So usually with an announcement like that, a Kojima announcement, that's something that's called a mic drop moment, right? That's something you want to really have for everybody in terms of shocking them. So I would say that that's probably going to be at Jeff's show. More likely. Okay, and the reason why I said it's a Jeff show is because, again, Kojima's relationship with him, for one, we already know he knows whatever Project Abandon is, right? We know Jeff knows everything. So it makes sense for him to drop that type of stuff there. And keep in mind, Microsoft's no stranger to dropping big announcements there. They announced the Xbox Series X at his show. Why not have one of your biggest key moments or key games at this show?
You are onto something with this.
Yeah. Why not have that be at your show and literally just go, hey guys, about Japan and China over there. We're working even better. Here's our relationship with Kojima. And by the way, it's exclusive. And by the way, you don't have to pay $60 or $70 for this. It's literally day one in Game Pass.
Yeah.
So there you go. That would be a mic drop moment for a lot of people. So I see it there. But if they did do it at Tokyo Game Show, you have to think about how it would hit in terms of the impact, right? It would be big for them over there, but is it really going to be like that colossal big moment, right? You want a moment like that to have as many eyes on it as possible. So
it makes sense. Yeah. I mean, you guys are definitely speaking the truth for sure. But again, certainly not the biggest topic of today. We're going to get into that. But I got to welcome in Dreadpool. How the heck are you, brother? And what did you have for breakfast, bro? How you feeling?
Think he
might be muted.
I am muted again. I'm playing the same old, right? I'm muted. So I am tired. I did have a little cat nap and almost overslept. But I'm here. Guess what? I made it.
Yes, and we're happy. We're a better podcast for it, brother. Thank you so much for being here, bro.
Thanks. I always hate missing these. So did have a Entenmann donuts.
Well, nice. I had a slice of toast because I have to go get blood work for my physical. So I was actually supposed to go this morning, and they're like, yeah, we kind of moved the appointment to 3:00. I'm like, well, I cannot wait to 3 because I'm gonna drop dead. So one slice of toast, coffee, no sugar, decaf. It was boring as all hell, but I'm having a pizza tonight, so it's okay.
There you go, okay. Cheat day. There you go.
Oh yeah, 100%. I have more cheat days than I have, but I'm in the gym. I'm in physical therapy twice a week, so I am working. The old man is trying to come back. But listen, Crispy Bomb. God, what's that?
I was going to say, you're going to go to Lord Cogs and get some of that lasagna pizza?
I'm going to say this. When I look at what Cog is lifting, my old man back just screams in horror because, I'm not doing that. That guy is ridiculously strong.
Yeah, it's not a competition. Give him a month. Maybe he'll come back looking like Arnold.
There you go.
I'm hoping for a super serum of some sorts. Just poke me and let me get big, and we're cool. It's square. But listen, Crispy Bomb, before we get your opinion on this, I got to thank some people. Drawn TJ, generous friend of the show, and will be making his debut in a couple of weeks on Primetime Gaming. He drops very generous $5 super chat and says, it's time to listen to my favorite podcast while I work. Well, thanks for the compliment, and hopefully you will, in fact, enjoy the show. And Raiden Blade drops an additional £2 super chat and says, that is why your show is like ILP. Well, thank you. That is a great compliment. To be considered equals with my brothers is the best thing anyone could possibly say, because, like I said, they're doing some incredible things over at ILP. And to think that at one point they were struggling to get to 1,000 subs, like
they're like at 20 viewers or anything. It was like, and
I previewed them on Double Barrel very early in my YouTube career. Double Barrel Gaming Presents, and we got them past 1,000. And listen, it's nothing I did. Those guys, they work over there. And BitCloud Gaming has become a channel member. Thank you for that, brother. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. That is very kind of you. Let's see. We also have a couple of more super chats here. We have Sean. Hey, Sean, what's up, brother? He drops an $18 super chat.
I think it's pounds,
yeah. Thank you so much for that, brother. He says, finished Song of Iron last night. Great stuff with a mad ending. Yeah, it was crazy. Psychonauts, you're up this weekend. I was literally playing Psychonauts before. I'm stuck at the casino. I'm trying to figure it out right now. Game is fantastic. I have beaten Song of Iron twice. I am going to replay it at least 2 more times because there's something that happens at the end that gives you something at the end that I cannot say what's at the end, but it's going to make you want to play through it again, and it is a masterpiece. Thank you for the very generous super chat. We also have our good friend and brother Bunty drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, great show, Boom, always here to support, and indeed you are. Thank you for that. I just have to say, I'm so glad I got out of the Sony camp 4 years ago, and you know why, and indeed I absolutely do. Shout out to Joe Dunmore in the chat. He hit me up on Xbox Live. He was one of the winners from the 10 $25 gift cards that Mrs. Boom and I gave away on Tuesday, and he got his. I'm still missing 3 people, and if I don't hear from them, we will re-roll the dice and get some more winners. But everyone is going to walk away one of 10 winners from that show at some point or another. But Crispy, both Pong and BitCloud make an unbelievable amount of sense. And the way that I pitched this to when I wrote the topics was going from my heart, meaning that what does Japan mean for Xbox moving forward? And quite frankly, it means a lot because Phil Spencer said so. And he is the head of Xbox, and he wants them to do good in that region. And we know that they have a shot at it. Again, this is not the same Microsoft from last gen. This is a fresh, ahead of the game kind of a Microsoft. Everything they do seems to be, man, they're just hitting on all the switches. But do you think that would it hinder because it's a smaller show, or be beneficial for Microsoft to bring Kojima out there?
It's not going to happen, I don't think. Especially with what Aaron said, I don't see it. That's a huge announcement. That's not, some small thing, and it would make total sense if it's on Keeley's stage.
It absolutely does.
Even if it was one of these other on live shows, or the first
it just hits
day,
differently.
Yeah, he's great at presenting, big announcements, especially on the Game Awards. Of course, it's just something that you're like, wow, like this is really happening. So I mean, everybody seems to believe that it's confirmed, that they're just waiting for the full on confirmation that he's working with Xbox. I could see it. They got to get a foothold in these narrative based games even better. And I think Kojima can really put a spin on games that really works for Game Pass as well. And you get more people that like it than hate it, or they try it and they don't like it, but it's not some like destruction, like, oh, this game was horrible. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you have so many other games to really go after and just sit there and say, hey, that one's not for me, but this one is. And Tokyo Game Show, at this point, I think they're going to be really hammering home Game Pass. I think that's going to be the big thing with the xCloud as well. They're going to go after that market in that route, and they're going to probably bring some games that are bigger in the Japanese market to Game Pass for that area. We might not get them over here anytime soon, but that area is going to get certain games that are really specific for that area, and that would be a big deal. They really need to hammer home this. They've only really started to catch attention. Now they gotta make that attention into subs and people purchasing the console.
Yeah. Well, I will say to that point, and I'll bring Dreadpool in on the conversation. I know that my feed is constantly packed with it, and these are folks that I'm not following. But the amount of Japanese gamers posting on the socials that they are getting their Series S is bananas. It's almost on a daily basis, and I love to see that, because that says that. I mean, listen, again, to Phil's point. Are they going to beat PlayStation and Nintendo in Japan? They're not. They're they're not. Those are Japanese-based companies, and we know their history. But Dreadpool, for you, everyone on the panel seems to think that the announcement is going to come at the Keighley show. It makes 100% sense, simply because they're best friends. We know that we've seen him on his stage numerous times. It is a big stage. The world is watching. But I just think in my heart of hearts that the Tokyo Game Show, even though it's not as big as it used to be, is still substantial in a region where they have notoriously failed and they are looking to win. Do you expect anything like a Kojima announcement?
Do I have time to use the restroom for this topic? So for all you don't know, that was actually something that was said live, right? By somebody else. Okay, we'll just leave it at that. But no, you know what I mean? That's the kind of attitude that some people have. And but when you look at it in reality, especially when it comes to Microsoft and Xbox, yeah, it would be great for that to happen, but I don't see it happen. I see it happen on Jeff Keighley's show.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Think it has more impact there. But I mean, I don't care on the one side, on the other side, I just want to know. You know what I mean? So it's like, how soon can I get it? How soon can we get this information? I mean, Pong's even said it, that he's like so overhyped. You know what I mean? So it's like, when a man is a god and he can do no wrong, it's not a good thing. We can't look at it like that. But at the same time, he's proven he has a track record, whether you like him or not. So for him to go to a Keighley show would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I mean, I definitely agree. And I think that's probably where it's going to happen. But like I said, a 15-minute show, there has to be something there that's going to make Microsoft spend the time and the money, because it costs money to be at these shows, to be there. Whether that's a Persona 5 announcement, whether that's some sort of an it would be great. And I know this isn't a rumor, folks. This is just me thinking out loud. Lost Odyssey is a game that a lot of people dig, like a lot of people are fans of, and I'm right here. I'm one of them. I quite enjoyed that. I think it had 4 or 5 discs. It was ridiculously large. People have been clamoring for a remaster of sorts. It would be a great place for that particular director that Microsoft had teamed up with to get that game onto the Xbox 360, do a remaster of sorts. That would be pretty big. They need to do something memorable at the Tokyo Game Show. For me, again, I know I'm definitely on the minority on this. I still want it to be Kojima because the region is where Microsoft has failed. And they want to win, and that is the way you win. You bring out some big talent. You say, yeah, they're working exclusively with Xbox. Not that he is doing a game on Xbox. This is exclusive, and you're going to be able to get it in Game Pass and the whole blah blah blah. But listen, again, this is small topic to open up the show, but folks, we got to get into Dead Space. Motive is obviously the development team that will be bringing us Resident Evil 2-esque retelling of Dead Space 1, probably the best of the series, depending on who you ask. The tech preview where they showed side by side what this game is going to look like when it releases next year is just incredible. Now, I recently just beat Dead Space 1. I played through it. When they first started talking about it, I had recorded footage, and I got so into the game. I'm like, man, I got most of the achievements, but I want to play through this game because this game is scary as F, and I like those types of games. So I wound up running through the game. I'll probably run through 2 and 3 just to say I did it again. Pong, I want to go to you, brother. This was for me unexpected that we would see this much. Because that means to tell me that this game, I mean, it is announced for next year, so that it probably is close. They're gonna have to polish it and do everything, but man, what they showed, if you're a fan of this game, you got to be very excited. If this game scared you on the original, I think you're gonna have to be hiding behind your couch while you play this game because it looks even worse than the original, and the original was terrifying for a lot of people. Not me. I love survival horror, which is why me and Big Cloud hit it off so well because we're both RE fans. But what were your takeaways from this tech test that Motive sat down to introduce to the people that are excited about Dead Space, the remake?
Wow.
Night and day difference, dude.
Yeah, I think. Well, first of all, you know me, Boom. I'm always on the fence with horror games. There's some that I can't do, and then there's others that I can do. Again, you give me enough weapons to shoot whatever the scary bad monsters are, and I'm good to go. Right? And Dead Space is one of those. I can play Dead Space, love Dead Space series, was hoping for this remake. We talked about it on a couple different shows, Boom. I think when we saw that it wasn't getting the updated boost from Xbox, that series wasn't, that there was probably something going on in the background. And then we got this announcement, and then we talked about it again, and we talked about what it was going to take to make this successful, much like they did with Mass Effect. And I think one of the big things is finding the good balance between the old game and then bringing it up to speed and not losing the feeling. And if what we saw is any indication of what the full game is going to be, then I think they have captured that perfectly. This looks absolutely fantastic. It looks like they've taken the original, the best parts of the original, updated what needed to be updated, given it that current gen polish, and then just cranked everything else up to 10. And I think that they've got another big hit here as long as they can put it all together. Again, we never know. We've seen so many games through the decades that look fantastic and then come out and just don't hit. But I think right now what Motive is doing is finding that perfect balance. And I think that, again, whoever it was that woke up, we talked about this behind the scenes, whoever that was that woke up over at EA, and if it's Vince Zampella that woke everybody up over at EA and made them look at things differently, then he needs to be the head of everything, okay? Because whatever is going on over there, they obviously looked at a lot of the success that Capcom has had going back to their old franchises and doing them the right way. I know Resident Evil 3, the remake didn't hit with everybody, but Resident Evil 2 specifically definitely is up there as a shining example of what can be done when you take an old game and then bring it forward to now and make something special out of it, and not only appeal to all the old heads out there who got to play these games, but also to appeal to a new gen. And they did a great job with that in the Mass Effect trilogy as well. So what I saw here is something that has the potential to be special, that has the potential to restart this franchise again, which a lot of people have been asking for. People haven't just been asking for them to remake, but they've asked to restart this, because Dead Space is just an awesome world to play around in, and their ideas when it comes to creatures and the mechanics that they use when it comes to be able to chop off specific body parts, all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
That's what separates it from a lot of games out there. And obviously, glad to see it back. Glad to see that they are taking the time to treat this with the respect that it deserves, that this is not going to be simply just a quick, here's a little more res. Yeah. Here's a little more res. Here's some more frames. You're good to go. Have fun. I'm glad they are actually going deep into this and really doing the real work to make this game what it should be, what it could be at this point with current gen, especially. So, I was happy to see it. I've been asking for this for a long time. Again, as somebody who can't play all horror games, the ones that I can play are really special to me. So Dead Space is definitely back by the looks of things, and I can't wait to get my hands on it.
Yes, it's back in a big way. And what is interesting about 2022, specifically in that, scary game region, is besides Dead Space and Motive taking the care and time, we are getting the Callisto project or protocol. And that is obviously from the original team. At EA that made Dead Space, and man, them going head to head has me super stoked, because, well, why the hell not? Who wins when the companies go at it? We win, right? The same thing we say it all the time about us, Microsoft and Sony. When they go head to head, we win, because they're trying to outduel each other, and this is going to be a great time for fans of scary games. Speaking of fans of scary games, BitCloud. We were talking in the green room. You and I were really taken aback. I mean, obviously, we have heard several of the devs from the team that's going to bring us the reimagining of Dead Space, that their motivation was Resident Evil 2 remake, and that's where they got the idea to do this. They were inspired by what Capcom did, bringing back still one of my favorite games in my top 5, the 98 Resident Evil 2, still one of my favorite games of all time. I have beaten it double-digit times, at least 20 times. Whenever I got a chance to play it through it, I beat it. And I love to think that we're going to get a next-gen version of Dead Space, and to see early, and that's stills, folks. They showed us actual moving tech test. I am through the roof excited. Where do you fall on what Motive is going to do with Dead Space?
Well, again, like we said off air, shout out to whoever woke EA up to literally bring back this franchise. Now, it's been 13 years.
Yes,
since we've seen this game. 13 years. And when I saw this, I immediately told my chat, I was like, yo, guys, not for nothing, I kind of want to just do gaming videos at this point. I don't even want to do news, because this is what got me. This stuff like gets me excited, like the seeing that game come back in its all its glory. Now, when I first heard about this remake, I was expecting, okay, maybe they said Resident Evil 2 remake. So when they said, I was okay, let's see what's up. Yeah. As soon as they did the shot for shot side by side comparison,
crazy.
It's so night and day. It's like we're talking about this, like from the way the hallway was in the original. Remember how we had those narrow claustrophobic type of hallways?
Yes.
Like, had that sense of tension because you didn't know where they were going to come from. This is amplified times 3 because of how big the Ishimura actually looks. And the first one, the Ishimura, you kind of think, okay, it's a big ship, but you don't know how big because of the limitations. This time you get kind of a bigger understanding how big the Ishimura is and how crazy it's going to be. And the crazy thing is too, we only saw the slasher. We didn't see the regenerator. We didn't see the infector. We didn't see the big guy. We didn't see none of those. So there's so many things that we're gonna be blown away by. But when they start getting into how their new damage system is, where you can shoot off pieces of the face, when you shoot off the arms, there's like pieces of flesh. You don't even have to keep shooting at that particular area. You can like shoot all the flesh off and see the bones between the.
It's going to be very detailed.
It's like I'm seeing this. I'm sitting going, man, how's that going to look when we go against the regenerator? How's that going to look when we go against the lurkers, the little babies? Like, we haven't seen everything. And the cool thing about it is this game, when it first came out for its time, in many ways, it still resonates with all of us. This game scared the hell out of us when we first saw this. And this right here, just seeing this come back is insane. Now, the fact that they bringing this out with the Callisto protocol already set for next year, it kind of raised some eyebrows, but at the same time, it's like you said, competition. And I really think EA really wants to get more of that positive energy. Let's face it, EA has just been drugged through the mud so many times. After the whole Star Wars thing, that was literally the only thing people gave praise for EA for with Star Wars. Now looking at this is their opportunity to not only make amends but also do things right. And another thing that's cool about this too, with them bringing this back, you already know that this is going to sell. So Dead Space 2 remake is more likely going to happen. Can't wait to see that. That's my favorite one in the franchise, not just because of the advanced suit. I just thought they really, it was kind of like the Resident Evil 4 of the franchise. I thought they nailed the horror and action with that one. This one though, with the first one, it was all claustrophobic, fear. And when I heard that Gunnar Wright is coming back, he confirmed that he's coming back to play this character. That all but confirmed to me that they're going to probably do the whole franchise. Hopefully they don't do 3. Hopefully they do something different with 3. They let them go and create something completely different. But him coming back, him confirming that he's going to be talking in the game, because in the first one, Isaac Clarke doesn't talk at all. It's just like he reacts. He just does like the little gestures. This is going to make scenes like with Nicole, when the dementia. This is going to make scenes with certain death scenes that much more impactful. And another thing that I love too was the new traversal of this when you're in zero gravity. I don't know if you saw when he went through the door, he went all the way up to another platform in the ship, like it was broken apart. They really they went all out here. So it's cool. I can't wait to see the bosses though 9 years. I can talk about this forever because it's that exciting for me personally. I platinumed that game. I platinumed the entire franchise, so I gotta talk about it, man. It's
to think that we're and again, Pong actually said something pretty interesting, and he said, who woke EA up? And I think what we're starting to see, and again, this is just my opinion, so I could be wrong. More than likely, I am, but just bear with me for a second. We always talk about, when you look at change that comes to a company, and you say, well, it's a team, right? There are hundreds, if not thousands, of people that are a part of this big working puzzle. But I kind of want to just bring Phil Spencer into the conversation for a hot second, because when we say, can one man make a change? And we saw his ideology come to fruition and be brought into what Xbox has become today, and it's an entirely different company. Now, I'm not saying that Vince Impella will or can have the same effect, but we do have to think for a second, because of Vince's presence in EA, and when he was made the head of DICE LA, you knew something was up. Whatever he was pitching, EA was buying. And now we're starting to see almost again, we have EA, they did some pretty terrible things, right? So we can't forget that. But with that said, we can see how one guy's ideology could bring change to an entire company. And I honestly think that we are seeing that right now. And I think that if you look at what EA has done post Jedi Fallen Order, It's a very different company. Now, have they done some other, just dumb things? Like their sports stuff is just egregious. And that's just the but there are other games, and we're starting to see that. And this Dead Space remake is another example of, I think, hey, listen, the fans have been asking for this. Let's give this to them. Crispy, where do you fall with what you saw on Dead Space? Is it a day one for you?
No.
No,
Not
did
really
you
my
like the
thing.
original?
Boo.
Or
Boo to
just,
I don't even think I played it. I don't remember.
Boo this man. He checked him. Get out of here.
No, we got to look at it this way though. They have changed, definitely. I mean, Mass Effect, this, and then the Jedi Fallen Order obviously woke up EA and said, "Oh, wait, we can actually make single player games."
Yes.
And Jedi Fallen Order, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, is one of the greatest Star Wars games I've ever played. It just felt like you were a Jedi, which is what it's supposed to feel like.
Yes.
Can't wait for that sequel, bro. That's gonna be fire.
Yeah, dude. Like, and I'm still like, I'm a completionist now with certain games, and this one, because of like you're just going around and finding these little nooks and crannies that you at one point couldn't get to because you didn't have powers. Like, they give you the replay value there. So, them to remake games now is more acceptable. I mean, just to put a shiny coat of paint on there, it doesn't make sense. And see, the problem I have is that it feels like they're divided, because I have to bring it up. The hot mess that is Madden. Like,
Madden's terrible. We're not taking that. Terrible.
Madden, they don't really care about Madden. It's kind of like 2K with WWE games. I mean, they just know they'll just throw them out there. They know they'll sell, so to speak.
They gotta do something with it. Like, it's time. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't felt a need to buy a Madden God knows how long. Generally, somebody will gift it to me or something like that. It's just, why is the company so split? It feels like at this point, like they can't. Madden really needs to be,
it needs like a story mode. Yeah, it needs like a story mode, something dynamic, like you struggling to make it into the pros or something cool.
And they bring something like that there, but they force you to play as a certain it's like this year's linebacker, and it's like the story is completely linear. You have not much choice in it, and that's not something. They're just basically re-rolling everything and saying, "Hey, we did this. Hey, we added something that we had in Madden 05." Like, it's like, come on, like, you know what I mean? So I see a ray of hope in what they're doing on one side, but it's like the other side needs to get on the same page. You know what I mean? And that's just something that's, I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know if they're ever going to get me to say, hey, and keep in mind, I have like, my favorite team and my favorite player are like the best in that game. Like, I would just love it, but it just doesn't feel like I'm getting anything from it.
You know what needs to happen, Crispy? It needs to have you remember Ukes? Who remembers Ukes on this chat? The wrestling company, they made wrestling games. They're coming back and they're making AEW, and they showed the comparisons. I don't know if y'all seen it, but the game looks incredible for what we saw.
Ukes were the reason why those franchises. Now, if you remember, they were. We're talking about N64 wrestling, NWO versus the world.
Okay,
they were incredible, and the fact that I didn't even know they were coming back, dude.
Yeah. The fact they make that stealth comeback, they signed with AEW. They're making like SmackDown versus Raw equivalent to their game now. That's basically what it is. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's like SmackDown versus Raw, but fully done, you know what I mean, in this generation with better mechanics. They're doing all of that, and here comes 2K with the same trailer. Hey guys, it hits different. I'm like, I'm gonna go AEW, especially at the last one. You had characters doing the crab walk, whatever that thing was. It was scary.
Oh my god, that game was horrible.
That's horrible. But that's what I'm saying, Chris. Like, there needs to be a competitor that needs to just emerge with like a Madden type equivalent in order for them to really step up.
2K is doing an NFL game. They can't do a simulation. I think that it's going to be like NFL Blitz. I don't know for sure, because I mean, that's just me, just logic 101. I'm okay with that. But if anyone remembers, and again, I don't want to turn this into a football conversation, but if you remember NFL 2K on the Dreamcast, when it launched against Madden for $20, it was by far, I mean, listen, the game is old now. I mean,
it still has the superior blocking,
but
that's the scary part.
Dude, it's crazy. That was 2005, guys.
Yes, it still has a superior run blocking in it. It's crazy.
NCAA 2005. Oh my god!
Yes,
I missed that. That was it. College football. I haven't even played a college football game since then. I don't think
and that's the other hope, though. Again, not to turn this into football, but now that NCAA is coming back, that in-house competition that they had did used to drive Madden
100%
in a lot of ways, because that college team was doing a lot better job in a lot of different areas than Madden, and Madden used to have to, because everybody be looking at both.
Remember that? The road for the Heisman. There were so many cool things they threw at us.
The road to the Heisman was. I'm not an NCAA kind of a dude, honestly, but it was good.
It was good. It was like very good. It wasn't pro, right? But at least it gave you more. You know what I mean? You just appreciate it more, especially going back and what they did.
So hopefully that coming back in house again, and then getting that competition back, and whatever 2K does, it's kind of sad to say 2K has got to be a savior here, but I know they can't do a simulation game, but if they can give you another good football game that actually starts, whether it's the same or not, because it can't be, but just something that sales wise pushes Madden, and then EA has to start looking at it seriously. Anything like that, just something to change the culture over there, because right now it's stagnant. It's been stagnant for a decade,
for years. 100%.
Yeah, I want to put faith into him, but after the wrestling thing, I don't really care about 2K.
No, I mean, it does make sense. So, Dreadpool, let's get your opinion on this. Listen, to say that you're a horror fan might be an understatement. You might be as equally a horror fan as Wilmy Hood himself, and that's the horror master himself. For you, seeing that Dead Space is going to be not only coming back, but being treated with the class and respect that franchise deserves makes me very excited, because we have heard the term money grab, right? A lot of companies love to do that, and EA is no stranger to that kind of a thing. They do that every year with you guys just talking about Madden. That's a money grab, because they don't change anything to make the game better. They just slap a new player on there and potentially do something small, and it's like, $65, $70. But this is going to be a big deal. This is a beloved OG franchise from 2 generations ago, coming back in a big way. And the tech test that they showed really indicated that what we're going to be getting is special. Where do you fall with this?
Well, I think backtracking, Zampella did change part of the culture. Running 2 studios, proving single player. So I think, with all that being said, this is going to be probably the best version, not just in looks, but quality, the story wise, of Dead Space. And everybody knows Dead Space isn't my type of game, because I don't consider it horror. I just consider it, kind of, whatever. But when it comes to all that, I'm still rooting for it, right? We want to see these type of games. You want to see them remake this stuff and come back with a vengeance, right? We want to see something better, and with the way that they, the skin peeling back and all that. It's not just that. They even added the fact that the clothing will tear apart like that too. So they're going to add those layers on there. So it's not just going to be what you see with the skin and the muscles and the meat of the character falling, being torn apart. You're going to get the clothing and that's what got me hooked. I'm thinking right there. I'm thinking, holy cow, this is like Evil Dead, or not Evil Dead. Yeah, Evil Dead. With the clothes getting all messed up and just, you can actually see a little bit more. So, but that's the thing. Everybody was talking about Madden. How they need to fix it. I talked to Jim Heil on several interviews, and they know Madden, because I even brought up the whole the whole controversy of 2019 and a 2020 game or 2022 game. Remember that old. And found out
they had the old assets in there.
Yeah, but it was just a placeholder. That's why usually they put pink and these different highlight colors. And it's just something that they missed. It was just something to fill in the field so you can have something as a visual. So they know that they've been screwing up, and they're trying to do something with Madden. It's just hopefully the right people like Vince to get in there and doing it. You know, I'm talking to their research engineer. So what's he got to say to these teams? You know what I mean? He can only help them improve with what they can do. It's up to them to do all this stuff. So they're aware, just like here, they're aware that they need to do this game right. You know, here we all are hyping this game up, going, holy cow, you know, look at the side by side, look at what they're doing here, you know. And I did see some people in the chat that, you know, they don't want another remake. They want a new game. Keep on going.
That's the minority, brother. Sorry.
But that's the thing, though. This isn't just a remake. They're adding more to it. So they're gonna add more than what you had before. They're remaking it. It's still based on the same lore. So they're starting it from the ground up, giving you more. I'm like, you can't like dismiss it, you know, and I'm not dismissing it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, you know, we want, at least for me, I want this stuff, just like the Callisto project. That is from the creators. So they're going to be a little bit more, I mean, they
ambitious, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah. They're going to try to do exactly what they wanted to do now. And like you said, ambitious, right? So with them doing that, it could push more of the narrative. And yet again, you got to take those risks, right? Who does the risks is usually the indies. The bigger companies don't take the risks. They follow the lead and then improve on that, right? So yet again, we got two basically Dead Space games coming back, and they're going to be fighting for our attention.
Oh, again, both my money.
You know, and that's the thing. I'm definitely interested in it, you know.
Yeah, listen, you made a great point, and actually, I'm glad you did, because I had it in the notes and I read over it. One of the things I found super interesting is that we are going to get a retelling of the Dead Space 1, but they already have explained that there were several large sections of Dead Space 1 they had to cut because they couldn't get it into the game. Those same sections that were removed that we never got a chance to see or play, we're going to get a chance to experience that for the first time, along with all of the new stuff, which is awesome. Like I honestly, I'm through the roof, super excited for both. Obviously, Dead Space and the Callisto protocol. Yeah,
yeah. You know what's going to be so good though when we see this remake? That opening scene when we get on the ship.
Yes.
That's going to be it's more impactful to see just how different that is, you know, with the ship and how we get in there. And when we turn the ship on, you know, does Isaac speak at this point? And then it's all hell's breaks.
You know what I want to know? If Isaac's going to speak when you got to put that needle in your eye. That's what I want to know, because
oh Lord, that was nightmare fuel right there.
But nightmare fuel.
They might add a protocol. They might add a prologue to this, so you guys remember know what happened with Nicole before Isaac jumps in. They might add on upon this game,
dude. I'm all in for that. That is for sure.
And Big Cloud brings up a good point though too. Just for us people that got to play it, we're gonna see so much new stuff. But just like Mass Effect, I was watching the chat too. There's plenty of people who have never touched Dead Space. Just like Mass Effect, they missed it. There's a whole generation, or maybe two generations at this point, that never ever got to experience it, but they hear about these games all the time. There's some of these games that were transformative within the industry. I'm not talking about like pillars like Halo or whatever. You know, not like that, but there's a whole group of games that really set the tone. Like Mass Effect changed RPGs for all the future RPGs, right? There's still RPGs to this day trying to do what Mass Effect did, and especially from the sci-fi genre. And Dead Space is another one of those that, you know, just the things, the mechanics that they used in the game that had not been seen before, that people copied down the road, that kind of influenced people in the industry when they were developing a horror game. People get to go back now, and for us old heads, we get to go back and re-enjoy it and see it in a whole new light and all that kind of stuff, because a lot of these games were so ambitious for the time that they couldn't, you know, the technology just wasn't there. So for them to be able to go back and redo these games, I know a lot of people are sick of remasters all the time, whatever else, But again, I think they're just important for the history of video games because now you introduce new generations to what we got to enjoy, but they get to see it in the best light possible.
Yep.
And because backwards compatibility, again, for us, it's great. For a lot of people, it's fantastic. But there is a lot of people that just go back and go, man, I can't play this game. It's 13 years old. It's 20 years old. I can't do it. I've been playing on the new stuff, right?
Like to piggyback what you said, because remember GTA, we're getting remasters of San Andreas, Vice City, and I think the original. And they're saying they're doing it in Unreal Engine 5, right? But we're not getting remakes of them. They're just remastering them. The reason, again, nobody wants to go back to those old school controls on PlayStation 2. It feels so foreign to us now. So
yeah, that's what I was going to piggyback too with is it's not just the visuals, it's the controls. Because you got to remember back then we were still fumbling with 3D controls, you know, the set camera points, you know.
We saw that Mass Effect, right, Dreadpool? Mass Effect 1 for a lot of people. It's still my favorite, and I know it's a huge battle between everybody, Mass Effect 1 versus Mass Effect 2, but a lot of people tried Mass Effect 1 and couldn't handle it and just dropped the entire series. And then when they came out with the remaster, everybody got to go back and try it again and said, oh, okay, now I'm seeing. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'll say this. What a great 1 hour and 5 minutes to start your holiday weekend, folks. Obviously, you got some Mortal Kombat footage, which looks, every time I watch this game, I'm like, man, that team over there is talented, because every time you see this game running, I'm amazed, especially with RoboCop getting out of the car. I mean, like, come on, this is great.
They definitely have the best guest characters I've seen for
100%. Yeah, absolutely, no doubt about that. Real quick, let me catch up with some of the super chats. I'm going to get into the Sony drama to finish off the second half of the show. We have Bunty drops an additional $5 super chat and says, and if everybody wants to know, I was charged for a game twice, and it happened to him 2 times, and to this day Sony has not given his money back. Sony their customer service is not good. My brother wanted to when Destiny 2 was coming out, he had pre-ordered, because he has 1,000 hours on both the PlayStation and the Xbox. That's how much he loves Destiny. And before crossplay was a thing, he had pre-ordered it on both and was like, you know what? I'm not going to get the PlayStation version. So he called customer service, and it was months. It was months before the game released. They straight up told him, we can't refund your money. And he's like, what do you mean? The game isn't out for another like 90 days. I don't want the game. No, once you buy it, it's yours. So he canceled it. He got his credit card company involved. Don't you know they blocked out his account?
Wow.
They locked out his account. So Sony is I mean, their customer service is awful. But listen, sorry that happened to you, brother, and hopefully again, that's probably why you're not with PlayStation. It makes sense. Raiden Blade drops not 1 but 2 £2 super chat says Dreadpool in the house. Indeed, he is here. And Zenzu Beans Boom then challenge Cog. Listen, my brother would throw me around like a wet pepper bag. That guy is immense. But yeah,
he's one of the coolest dudes in this community, hands down. But when
you say this,
you don't know him, he'll scare the hell out of you.
Don't cross him. Cog is a good dude. That's my brother. But don't cross him. He's a Scorpio. He will cut you from the ankles, and you will not like it. Kenta Wilson drops a $5 super chat and says, BioShock 1 should get a remake. Indeed, it should. And then, of course, Outbreak Podcast drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, what third-party games do you want as Xbox exclusive? You know what, dude? There's a long list, but I think that the exclusive stuff has kind of gone out of the window when you bring Game Pass into the equation. I think getting a game into Game Pass that's even available in other places, it really is. Let's see if I can get this fatality. I'm terrible at the fatalities. You're gonna see. I'll get it eventually. But anyway, getting back.
Get one of these. I got this guy sent to me, but get one of these.
Oh, dude, that's nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it is what it is. It's not my main game, but I figured, you know what? I put an hour, almost 2 hours of footage. Let me drop it for everyone to check out. Listen, we got to get serious, folks. It is an hour and 10 minutes into the show. We are going to close out at the 2 hour mark. But while we get there, what we're going to be talking about is the biggest controversy of the week, and it involves Sony, PlayStation once again. And I got to be honest with you, folks. It seems as if there has been a seismic change in both Microsoft and Sony in the way that they deal with public relations. Microsoft has in the past stepped on their own you-know-what. And I'd be the first one to say that, yes, they made a mistake. They have had some errors, for unforced errors. The Xbox Live Gold $120 a year thing was just dumb. I don't even know what to say about that. But what did we do as podcasters? What did we do as a community? We came out and said, not on our watch. This is wrong. Big podcasters, small podcasters, people that just post on social media, we let them know that it wasn't right. And what did they do? Within 24 hours, they came out with an apology. They admitted that they were wrong, and the change was done. Well, what am I talking about? What is the big controversy? It's not because it's a PlayStation. It's not because it's Sony. It's because Sony continues to make moves that are a bit of a conundrum to many players, specifically someone like me. I buy all their exclusives. That's why I have a PlayStation 5. I like their indie exclusives. I like their first-party exclusives. That's why I have a PlayStation 5 and will continue to support it. But there are some things that happen that will force me not to support the brand. And obviously, Ghost of Tsushima was the latest with the $30 DLC that included a $20 DLC and I'm pardon my French here, thanks to Everborn Saga, the $10 asshole tax that he calls it, for being able to use, haptic triggers,
basic features,
3D audio. And these are features, folks, that I already paid for. I bought a $500 console. I bought the headphones. I got the camera. I got the charging stand. I got a second controller. I'm all in on PlayStation. Right. So if anyone tries to say, oh, but that's a fraud, he's a fraud. I have more PlayStation shit than you. Trust me when I tell you. And I still support PlayStation VR. And the thing is a dying piece of plastic. OK, so getting to the controversy, what should have been a celebration yesterday in the fact that we could now reserve Horizon Zero Dawn. I keep saying it Zero Dawn. Horizon Forbidden West. It turned out that it was confusion. It was dishonesty. It was Sony doing what Sony has been doing recently, and it wasn't right. Now, before I knew of the controversy, and thanks to Mr. Badbit, he had messaged me and messaged on Twitter that the collector's edition for Horizon Forbidden West was available. And as you folks already know, like I said in the opening of the show, I am all in on their collector's editions. They do them the best, and I love them. And I pre-ordered the $200 edition. That particular edition comes with the mammoth statue. It comes with all the bells and whistles, but more specifically, it comes with both the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 version. And I'm not canceling my pre-order because I'm a fan of I'm not personally affected. But that does not mean that because it doesn't affect me that I shouldn't speak about it. And Pong, I got to go to you first on this because you were talking, and obviously you, me, and BitCloud before Crispy and Dread got in there in the green room, and you had some pretty interesting things to say. But before we get to what you're saying, folks, when BoomStick talks out Sony, you're going to say, that guy's an Xbox. That guy loves Xbox. So every time he gets a chance, he's going to turn around and throw shade on Sony. And of course, I would say that you're a stone-faced liar for that. But I can understand where you're coming from. But this is where you know that I am not messing around. When people from the industry, other content creators and community members step out against Sony, then you know that Boom is potentially onto something. Now, I'm going to probably pronounce his name wrong. Is it Nibel or is it Nibble?
Nope, that's Nibel. I think that's
Nibel. So I did get it right. Okay, so Nibel puts out a tweet yesterday, and he quotes Sony for the players looking to have access to both the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 version of Horizon Forbidden West. Please purchase the digital deluxe or either of the collector's editions. One is $200, one is $250. Dual entitlement does not apply to the standard and special editions. Now, following that tweet, which was quoted by a very public supporter of the Sony PlayStation brand, Daniel Ahmad, and he puts up a picture where it has and obviously he made this. It's a bunch of signs with arrows going left, right, up, down, sideways, crossways, and it says PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 games. And I quote, he says this: "Me trying to work out how to gain access to PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 versions of a first-party game in 2021." That is indeed telling, because simply these are two folks that normally will not go out against Sony, and here we are on the socials. They're out there calling Sony out, and I applaud them for it. But this is where we get into the nitty-gritty. During E3 of this year, all right, Sony wasn't there, but they did have a Sony blog post, which I have in front of me, and I'm going to read verbatim. And this is what a lot of people are upset about. Here it is what the PlayStation blog had to say regarding Horizon Zero Dawn. Additionally, we know that the PlayStation 4 community will transition to the PlayStation 5 at different times, and we're happy to announce PlayStation 4 versions of some of our exclusives: Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, Sackboy: A Big Adventure, Horizon Forbidden West will also launch on PlayStation 4. While these three games were designed to take advantage of the PlayStation 5 and its unique next-gen features like the ultra-high-speed SSD and DualSense controller, PlayStation 4 owners will also be able to enjoy these experiences when they launch. The PlayStation 4 digital versions of launch games will include free upgrades on both the PlayStation 5 consoles, while the PlayStation 4 disc version of these games include a free upgrade on the PlayStation 5 with the Ultra HD Blu-ray disc drive. So basically what that means is basically you can play the PlayStation 5 version, the better version with all the bells and whistles, if you take that said PlayStation 4 disc and leave it in your system. Now, that's very similar to what happened to Boom. I could not, for the love of Jehovah, find the collector's edition for Resident Evil 8, either or, whether it be for PlayStation or Xbox. I bought the game on both of them. So what I wind up having to do was buy the PlayStation 4 version, which was fine, right? I just wanted the statue, which is literally sitting up right here. But what happened is the minute I popped the disc in, the PlayStation 5 said, "Hey, the free version that Capcom is offering you is downloading right now, not the PlayStation 4 version. You just need to leave the disc. You need the disc when you want to play it," which was fine. Now, this is where the controversy comes from. In this blog post that I have literally in front of me, it is black and white, not figuratively, literally black and white in front of me, is the crux of the problem. And I think Sony has to answer this. Pong, what happens now? What does Sony have to do? Do they need to respond, almost immediately and say, hey, listen, we said this and we're not going to renege. Everyone is, if you have a PlayStation 5, you're going to get the upgraded version for free, like smart delivery.
Oh boy, that's a big question, Boom. So again, there's a funny narrative that runs in this community when people don't want to talk about things or don't want to speak out about things, that you should never care about other people, that you should only care about yourself. So for me personally, I don't believe that. I believe that we are a community, and I believe the industry as a whole needs to be talked about. And it's not, video games is a very selfish hobby. We all know that. But at the same time, as a community, we have a responsibility to talk about things. There's also the running narrative that unless it affects you directly, unless you are a consumer of specific a brand, you're not allowed to talk about things as well. That is also BS in my book. Here's the deal. I don't own a PlayStation right now. I've been a PlayStation consumer. I am planning on being a PlayStation consumer somewhere down the line. Sony right now is selling not only to people that already have a PlayStation 4 and are looking to upgrade to a PlayStation 5, but they're also selling to people like me who go where the best value is each generation to start out, and then eventually down the road will buy into other ecosystems. You know, I own all systems outside of Nintendo, you know, and event during each generation. So Sony has this still going on. And I think when the community tries to shut down other community members by saying, well, you shouldn't be speaking about this, that's where I think we get really sideways. Now, as far as Sony goes, they made the business decision. Jim Ryan took over, you know, and won out the battle with Sean Layden for a bunch of different reasons. I think we can see most of those reasons right now. Sony needed somebody, or felt like they needed somebody from a business standpoint, a numbers guy who was going to look at the bottom line and find what they could do to make that bottom line as beautiful as possible. And Jim Ryan's your man, okay, through and through. Jim's made decisions, tough decisions, and I'm not going to defend those decisions, but when it comes to business, this is what it is. At the end of the day, it's about money. If there was no money in this industry, guess what? We wouldn't be getting all of the content that we currently are. So Jim made the tough decisions that he decided were necessary to charge an extra $10 for a lot of the upgrades that we're seeing over on the Xbox side given for free. Now that creates a gigantic dynamic between the two companies, and some consumers are seeing it. Some consumers will never see it because they're not heavily involved in it like we are. They just go where their friends go. They pay what they got to pay, and they just do it. But there's others out there that are conscious of this, especially in this day and age when a lot of people are struggling financially due to a lot of different factors. That money becomes an issue. So now you're really walking the razor's edge, because Sony is now getting some bad press that they're just not used to. So when we see things like this pop up, it is rightly criticized by those of us in the community that do see the industry as a whole. And I think people need to stop with that whole trying to shut people down and trying to, you know, basically shut up people that do want to talk about it. And I think Sony does need to respond to this criticism. We saw it back when they were trying to close the Vita storefronts, and there was a big outcry about that, and they came out and reversed their decisions, whether temporary or not. They still reversed the decisions and said, hey, okay, we're going to keep the stores open, you know, whatever the case may be. And I think they need to do something like that here. I think they've got plenty of time because, you know, Forbidden West is not due out until next year. They got plenty of time to make amends. I want to back up your PlayStation blog, if I might, with a Washington Post story. They did an interview with Jim Ryan last year in September of 2020. And I'm just going to read 2 paragraphs. I'm not going to read the whole article. But again, they were interviewing Jim about the whole, you know, PlayStation 5 and what was happening with it. And they said, while it wasn't mentioned in Sony's official announcement, developers of certain games later confirmed that PlayStation 5 exclusives like Horizon Forbidden West and Spider-Man Miles Morales aren't exclusive at all. They're both releasing PlayStation 4 versions, which may irritate a few Sony fans who took to heart Sony's commitment to next-gen development. The belief is that developing games across generations stifles creativity and hampers the technological ambitions of the game, since it has to cater to an audience with less powerful machines. And then this is a quote direct from Jim Ryan in response to that. They are obviously questioning him about this. He said, "No one should be disappointed. The PS5 versions of those games are built from the ground up to take advantage of the PS5 feature set. And we have an upgrade path for PlayStation 4 users to get the PlayStation 5 versions for free. It's about people having choice. I'm really quite pleased about the situation." That's direct from the man himself.
Wow.
And
that's
I would
damning, brother.
Yeah.
That is damning, because that's even better than
you ain't gonna like what I got to say.
Okay, I can't wait.
So when you go out here and make these comments publicly, again, we know in business decisions can change like this, right? Moment. You can go to bed one night thinking that you got, everything set, and you can wake up the next morning and it could be a totally different scenario. We understand that. But when you go out and make public comments about specific titles, and I know people have been arguing over the launch games section of that PlayStation blog. BS. Okay, BS. There were specific titles that were named in public that were going to have this upgrade path. Okay, you need to make this right. Here's the big deal with me, Boom, and this is what we were talking about behind the green room. So let's say you woke up, Jim Ryan woke up and said, guess what? Horizon Forbidden West is no longer a launch title. It no longer is applicable to what I talked about. Okay, fine, Jim. Go ahead and do that. That's fine. But when you are not giving people who cannot find a PlayStation 5 right now, that are going to go buy, and again, we don't know what it's going to look like next year, but we've already heard the chip shortages could run through next year.
Yes.
Okay. We don't know that those PlayStation 4 owners, they still don't have a PlayStation 5 when Horizon comes out. They have to make the decision right there and then. They have to be fortune tellers. They have to see the future and say, ooh, I really think I'm going to get a PlayStation 5 in the next 3 months. So guess what? I'm going to invest $80 to make sure I have both copies. Okay. Or they have to say, I just don't think I'm going to get a PlayStation 5 anytime soon.
And just buy
I'm just going to buy the PlayStation 4 version. But then all of a sudden, their buddy comes through for them. All of a sudden, the internet comes through for them. And all of a sudden, they've got a PlayStation 5 in their hands. There is no upgrade path, free or even paid for those owners of the PlayStation 4 only copy to get that PlayStation 5 copy. They literally have to go buy the PlayStation 5 version all over again. That's my biggest issue here. Again, I don't agree with the $70 price tag on new games. I don't agree with the upgrade, paying for upgrade features, that competition. But again, that's business. They want to make that decision. It's up to the PlayStation fans out there. It's up to everybody to speak out about it and pay what, show with their wallets that they're not going to put up with it. But just like Nintendo fans, that's why Nintendo gets away with what they do. Again, if the fan base isn't going to do it, you get what you pay for, you get what you vote for. And if you're not going to vote for your wallets, then guess what? They're going to continue to do it to you. But to not give those original copies, those PlayStation 4 copies, an option to even pay an extra $10 to get the PlayStation 5 version is my biggest issue with this in run. Because again, what you've been talking about is, hey, it's no big deal. We're going to have ways for people to upgrade their versions, whether paid or whether free, whatever quotes you want to look at, whatever situation. Right now, there is not one, unless you make that instantaneous decision.
There is actually one.
Yeah, to buy a brand new, buy a double pay, buy a brand new game.
But you're not even spending a double $60. You're spending a $76.43 here in New York for another copy. I mean,
and that's wrong, and that's wrong, and that's why they do need to address this. And the sad part is that all of this criticism that is out there, wherever it's coming from, I did see some people that are Sony centric saying something about it, but I saw a lot that were quiet about it or actually defending it. Guess what? Next week when they have their big show and they're going to show some amazing stuff that we all know that's going to happen, all this is going to be forgotten again. All of this is going to go
sweep under the
away.
rug. They'll say, they'll give you your games. They always do this every time.
That's exactly what they do. They know how to do it. They're masters of this game. They're masters of the marketing game. They know exactly what they're doing when they do it.
Ain't it convenient though? As soon as they announce, hey guys,
Yep.
By the way, that show that was supposed to happen last month or the month before.
Yep.
It's here. It's coming next week. So it's like they know how their audience is trained. The way people reacted to this announcement and the fact that this is going to happen, you already know what the narrative is going to turn to. It's going to go from the horizon back to, hey guys, what is Xbox playing? What is Xbox
exactly?
And it's going to go
Did you
right
see God
back
of War?
back
Did you see God of War?
That's better than the Xbox
dead. Xbox dead.
That's all you're going to see on Twitter or YouTube, etc. You're going to see it.
Correct. Well, but it is wrong, Boom. They've got plenty of time to fix it. I hope they do, because again, this is not just a PlayStation blog. This is Jim Ryan himself out there. And I think if you are any person of integrity, when you are out there in the public and you've said something like this and you are quoted, even if you made the business decision, you need to look at yourself in the mirror and say, look, I put this out there. It's one game. I've got to make this right for the community and for all of our Sony fans out there, and just do the right thing here.
Yep, 100%. I mean, listen, let's bring in Big Cloud. Obviously, you are one of the biggest PlayStation players on this panel. You have a gazillion platinums. That's your brand. That's your channel. Look, when you look at and again, I think that they're going to reverse the decision. I actually do. I think that they have literally no choice but to. This is a very similar situation to what happened with Xbox earlier this year with the Xbox Live Gold, at least in my opinion. I think that is on it's on the same level. I'm going to say this right now. I don't care what console is your favorite. I don't care where you lay your head at night. I don't care if you're going to dinner with Jim at the end of the holiday weekend. You cannot turn around for a microsecond and suggest that this is A, right, or B, fair. Like I said, does it affect Boom? No, it does not, because I bought the $200 edition, so I'm unaffected. With that said, that does not mean that I can simply just put my head in the sand and say, well, we shouldn't have a conversation about this, because when Microsoft did that $120 a year thing, I immediately did a
roasted.
I went in on Microsoft, and the same energy I brought then is what I'm going to bring today. So Big Cloud, this is, again, it makes you kind of scratch your head a bit, like what happened to the masters of marketing? They seem to have fallen off a cliff. And they keep doing these things. And I think that out of all the moves that they have done recently, this is probably the most egregious because of what Pong said. They're basically not even giving you the option to pay the $10 to upgrade, which I still think is wrong. But they're not even, they're saying that, hey, you bought it on the PlayStation 4. Guess what? If you want to experience it with the 3D audio and the haptic feedback and the SSD and all those other bells and whistles for the PlayStation 5, you're going to have to rebuy the game? Like, I've never even heard of such a thing. What are your thoughts on this?
All right. Crispy's as a witness to this, because I've said this on live streams. I'm pretty sure Lady Foxfire is another one. She's in the chat. Shout out to her. But I've called out so much of this. I've said Sony needs to have a natural system in play for basic stuff, such as updates for your games. That should have already been there. Makes no sense that we're paying $70 equivalents, right? Especially with Death Stranding and all that, for games that are barely a year old for PS5. Now we go into this. With this whole thing, I said it before, even on here, that changes are definitely happening, and you're seeing it right now. There is clearly a change. Not really the marketing. I don't think it's the issue. It's the change in leadership. See, the way things are going, what does Jim want? Jim's looking at these games for what they can get out of them, right? That's what he's looking at. He's not looking at like growth in those particular aspects. He wants as much money as he possibly can out of every single last one of these titles. What does that remind you of? Nintendo. Sells.
You specifically have said that on this show. You said they want to become Nintendo. Yes.
Now, to go back to Nintendo and PlayStation, you just said it, Boom. You bought the $200 collector's edition, but hey, you buy statues. You want that type of stuff. Yes. Me, I've been tempted to it, but you know what really sets that apart and really makes you look at it differently, and you see it like, you know what? Doesn't Nintendo do that? The fact that you're not even getting the disc for that collector's edition. You're getting a code. Since when in the hell has Sony ever given you codes for games?
I've always gotten a disc. I have them sitting right here.
Exactly. Never. So when I said this in live stream, this is the only thing that's really killing me with PlayStation dudes now. It's essentially turning into a cult. And it's really getting on my nerves. It's like I'm talking about smallest little disagreement, right? You're an Xbox. I had just called me an Xbox. Oh, you're a traitor. You're not the same. You don't have love for PlayStation. Meanwhile, I go and check these guys' profiles. These dudes don't even buy these games day one. They get them on sale. So excuse me if I don't understand what your problem is. And dudes go, I wasn't here for Outriders, right? But I'm gonna use Outriders as an example. When they said Outriders didn't sell well, right? And they were comparing that to Game Pass. Game Pass is bad, quote unquote. This whole support the developers thing that I see PlayStation dudes talk about, let's keep it a buck. If Game Pass did not exist and that game Outriders launched in the shape that it wouldn't last a week on the sales. Game Pass kept that game lively for months.
Yep. 100%.
That's the problem people miss here, and they don't look at that. More than likely, Sony would get this type of model, but here's the sad part: dudes act like they're putting their souls into this whole thing, and they're acting like Sony really cares about your emotions. They really do not. They're trying to get the most out their first-party IPs. It's just that simple. Their first-party IPs. Sony can only say this about select titles, such as Uncharted, such as Horizon, which was a sleeper hit, right? You got God of War. They only can say this about set games that will sell over 10 million. Not every game from Sony is going to touch 10 million. Hell, one of the biggest games that I've seen dudes use and still use to slander Xbox, which is Ratchet and Clank, didn't even sell 2 million. It's at 1.1. So I don't get it. It really gets on my nerves. It's like dudes really talk more about these games, especially social media. And you see this even when people who are streamers. What do you guys see in the comment section? I'll wait to sell and get that.
Yes.
You'll wait to sell to get something that you've been talking about for months, hyping up, and especially when people bring up $70, like I have numerous times, right? When you put $70 on games, what happens, Boom? That magnifying glass gets a hell of a lot bigger.
It sure does.
The game,
because you're
what
paying
do you
more.
get? You're paying more, and they looking, what are you getting when you're paying more? When you're getting the same basic stuff here, not many people are going to be, tempted. And them locking features behind $10 upgrades for stuff like this, which is naturally built into the system, doesn't make anything any better. Haptics is cool. I like haptics. It's cool. But the way dudes be defending is saying, oh, but they're giving you haptics. This right here is basics, people. It's basics. It's that simple. It should already work at the gate. I'm not saying full-fledged, right? But at least most of this should work.
Yeah.
Half this stuff can be programmed in because this controller gets updates.
Yes.
So I don't get it. And dudes want to hype up 60 FPS patches for Horizon. It's like, what are we getting again? I don't understand. I don't understand it. I really don't. So that's my take on the whole thing. It's ridiculous. It's dumb. Jim Ryan, I already said it before. Dudes want to act like Jim Ryan is the best public speaker. He's not.
No.
I don't know why he's even in interviews. I don't know what the hell he's thinking of that. If anything, Herman Holtz should be the dude in charge of PR. Herman Holtz knows how to talk to the community. He knows how to get a message across. In fact, I would be happy if Herman Holtz was the damn leader of the company because Herman Holtz knows value.
He knows he knows the value of the games themselves,
and he knows how we are. He's the closest thing to Sean Layton in terms of secondary that you can get. Why is he not the head of the company? I have no clue. Hopefully that happens later down the road. But Herman Holtz is 5 times better than Jim Ryan. Jim Ryan has never been good with public speaking. He's never been. Even when he was doing he was part of Sony London. And he came to shows. He was talking about his features. For the company, he was never good at public speaking. So the fact that he's coming out here contradicting himself is no surprise to me whatsoever. It really isn't. I already knew we were going to come back to this anyway, especially after the whole Spider-Man thing. Y'all remember when he said Spider-Man was exclusive to PlayStation 5? What did he do? Oh, about that, it's coming to PS4.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't trust anything Jim Ryan says. I really don't. I refuse to. So,
unfortunately, he has on many occasions put his own foot in his mouth, and this is another perfect example. Thanks to Pong's incredible being an incredible panel member, he brought something to the table that I didn't even know about the Washington Post. I knew about a interview, not that particular one. And listen, it's out there. This, we're not making this up. And folks, listen, I said this before, and I'm gonna say it again. When it's the double standard that annoys me about the community at large is that we're all really quick to pile on Microsoft and curb stomp them whenever they make a mistake, and they have made many, right? But for some strange reason, Sony is not held to the same thing. And you hear different things. Well, boom, it's because they're the market leader. They're not owed an explanation. Well, you see, that's where you're wrong. And if you fall into that camp, if you're that brand loyal that you can't see that this is a problem, then that is in itself a problem. Real quick before we get to Crispy Bomb, who I know is going to be extremely animated with this because I just know him by heart. Let me just read some of these super chats that have come in. First of all, we have a new channel member, Louis Ravon. Thank you so much, brother. That is very kind of you to become a channel member. It is greatly appreciated, and that means I must be doing a decent job to people. I've gotten a few new channel members, and again, folks, the channel members is only 2 tiers. It's not like, hey, give $50 a month and you can be on the podcast. We don't do stuff like that. It's simple. There are 2 tiers, and what that does is Mrs. BoomStick and I, we turn the super chats and of course the channel memberships, and we recycle that monies into giveaways, which we did a big one on Tuesday. We're doing 2 big ones, as a matter of fact, one at the end of the month on the 24th, which is going to be a Breakfast with Boom, Cognito, and a few big guests are going to be there. It is called Boom's Birthday Bash. I turned 51 on the 25th, which is that Saturday. But instead of giving me the gifts,
I turned 29 on the 30th. So
there you go.
Because there you go.
I love it.
That's my brothers.
Instead of giving me the gifts, we're going to give away $300 worth of prizes. We're not sure exactly what denominations the gift cards are going to be in, but we're giving away over $300 worth. And all you got to do is show up. No channel memberships, no super chats. Just be in the chat, celebrate the day, and of course, you have a shot at winning it, just like 10 people did on Tuesday's Xbox Factor podcast. We also have Drawn TJ drops an additional $5 super chat and says, when you think about Xbox, when do you think Xbox will announce who they bought? I just got a DM from someone. I don't want to speak about it just yet. It is a story I have not read. It seems, if this is true, ridiculous, but I don't know. I know that they've been really quiet because obviously they just purchased Bethesda, and there's been talk, and Special Nick, friend of the show from the Xbox era, obviously him and One Bad Mother and John, who is the voices of their show, know some things. I haven't talked to them yet, but they know some things. So I don't know when that's going to come out. Potentially XO, if there is one, potentially first month of 2022, like they kind of did with with Bethesda. I don't know, but whatever it's going to be, it's supposed to be big. We'll see. We have Ant Sweeney drops a very generous 450-pound super chat. He says, all I can say is that since the start of this generation, Sony has done a great job of marketing me to avoid wanting their brand awful messaging. Brandon XRLS drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, Sony BS. I have to spend $200 just to get the same. I mean, not necessarily. I think there's an 80 or $100.
There's an $80 one.
There's an $80 one. So there's an 80, there's a 200, and there's a 250. But all the other editions, and there's 9 of them in total. You those other 6, you won't get the upgrade, which is dumb. Lady Foxfire, who's one of the winners on Tuesday. I hope you're enjoying the game, Lady Foxfire. Thank you for being here, and thank you for the $5 super chat. She says you're a good fan when you can be subjective to what's good and what's bad and still enjoy the platform. Amazing panel, Boom. Thank you so much for the compliment, and she's right. Crispy, you heard Pong, you've heard me, you've heard BitCloud. Can it get any more egregious than what is going on literally right in front of our eyes?
This has just become a broken record. I just, if you aren't fed up as a PlayStation gamer for what has been transpiring, like this has just been piling on. And instead of walking themselves back and saying, you know what, we did say this, they're just completely silent. They're hoping that Showcase goes and says, oh, everybody, it's fine. Everything's good. You know, if this was Xbox,
we'll be hearing about it all week.
And me and Boom would be sitting here like, yo, this is not cool. Microsoft,
we would have jumped on immediately, and I've been like, Crispy, can you come on? Let's do a stream, and we would have been like, yeah, exactly. Xbox, Phil, if you're listening, this is straight up wrong.
Okay, I'll give you an example real quick. I have an Elite Series 2 controller. Okay, now there's an app on my Xbox that allows me to access the majority of the features of this controller. That would be like Xbox asking me to pay $10 for that app when I already spent $180 on the controller itself for those features.
Yeah.
What in God's name are you doing? You're not making somebody like me who does not have a PlayStation 5. Yes, there's a PS4 in the house. I have no desire to play it. And it's not just because of the games themselves, and I'm not really into the single player games. It is the fact that if I go and purchase some of these games at this point on a PlayStation 4, I have to try to figure out, crack the code, if I say it better, crack the code of whether I'm going to have to pay more if I do get a PlayStation 5. And the worst part is these executives are sitting here talking out of both sides of their mouth, and they keep doing it. They haven't stopped doing it. We've been calling this out like through the whole year. I feel like every couple weeks we're on this show talking about stuff like this. Why is it continue to happen? And unfortunately, you have very few people that are really saying anything bad about it if you love PlayStation. And you gotta really look at yourself.
You gotta call them out.
You know what it is, Crispy?
Call them out.
You know what it is, Crispy? Dudes have this mindset. They're like, well, it's $70. You know what I'm saying? Get with the times, pay the $70, the price tag. And that's the thing for a lot of people now. They're like, damn, showing with that. It's like, you're broke. Okay, you don't deserve to be gaming or get another job. Yes. I heard people say shit like that to me. I'm like, are you out of your damn mind? And, like, there should be a better 100%. System in play here. Absolutely. And the thing that's really pissing me off, Crispy, you've heard me say this too, and dudes, you've seen it in my chat at times, right? What is this obsession with Sony's financials? They're no longer in the red. Why are we talking about their financials? So they're like, whoa, they're going to make this amount of money. I don't give a shit how much money they're going to make off of this. Why don't you tell me a better system in place so I can get into the game? Can we do something like that? Why is that not an issue?
But we are, and we are podcasters, but at the end of the day, we are consumers. Okay. And I look at my wallet with a magnifying glass at times, and I say,
it's not
hey, any money you're gonna have here and there. But in all seriousness, they have great games, but for you to be upcharged the way they're doing it at this point, and it's like one game, oh, okay, you get it free. The other game, now you go and say that you're going to get it free, then you don't. How are people supposed to figure that out? Like, and then you're going to go and say, okay, I'm a PlayStation 4 gamer. So do I pay more? Do I have to rebuy the game? Ghost of Tsushima is getting a $10 upgrade, but this game I have to buy the game all over again. I got Xbox over here, which, I was a 360 gamer and I kind of just went away. They just weren't doing the right things. Starting to feel that same vibe right now. I had a lot of people that all of a sudden, oh, I got a Series X, I'm done with PlayStation, or it's going to sit there until they get me back and say, hey, we're trying to, straighten everything out, make it less confusing, stop upcharging you on features that you should already have. These are the things that they need to do, and they need to do it soon, because then it's going to become a neck and neck race. And trust me, if Xbox starts really smelling blood in the water, they're going to start hammering home some of these narratives that they now have, like Game Pass, which makes it easy, accessible, and their exclusives are day and day, and they upgrade them. Yeah, there's certain games you might have to pay a little bit for a DLC, but all those features are already baked into the system. It is a part of that game, and if it's not, they're going to probably try to get it a part of that game, especially if it's a last gen game. These are things that should happen now. It is pro-consumer, and at the end of the day, we are all consumers on this panel and in this chat.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think I could have said it any better. That is the absolute truth. And you know something? I don't necessarily know if Microsoft is going to needs to do anything outside of what they're doing. I mean, their marketing has been just unbelievable. And yes, have they gone out of their way to throw shade specifically when it comes to this subject with upgrades, free upgrades? Oh, yes, and you know something? They're basically pulled a page out of Sony's book, because Sony did it last gen. Every time the Microsoft made a mistake, Sony was there.
Make a counter statement. Yeah,
make a counter statement.
That's just great business.
It's smart business, is what it is. 100%.
Yep.
But this is one of those things that.
It's just, it's the leadership, bro. You just see it. Like when Andrew House was there. Andrew House was, bro. You couldn't escape a PlayStation event without Andrew House making some kind of reference to Microsoft.
100%.
Like when he said, hey, others we were consistent with you guys, but other companies were quick to change their story. I'm like, we see what you doing. You don't see that type of. You don't see nothing like that with Sony now. It's completely different.
Yeah, it's totally different for sure, but it's not good.
Yeah.
Let's get Dreadpool's opinion on this.
Bring back the church lady. That was a fun one with silhouettes.
I mean, look. Look. Here's the thing, Dread. I think that when you look at this situation, I think that we as a community, and I'm not using that term loosely, folks. I'm saying that there comes a point in gaming where lines must be kicked away. You need to cover those lines and say, you know something, this is just straight up wrong. Right now, we saw that take place, and again, I have to keep referencing it. Some of the things that Microsoft has done in the past were conundrums. You're like, who walked away and said this was a good idea? And the entire gaming community, including the gaming media, piled on the rabbit. If you're a Bugs Bunny fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? This is, a good friend of me personally, middle-aged game guy, Mag, as he's known on Primetime Gaming. We talk on a regular basis. I call Canada, he calls here. We talk on a regular basis. And he had dropped me a line. He says, Boom, I don't understand how the gaming media is not doing story after story after story to say that this is wrong. And he's on to something with that. And again, I'm not trying to bring this into console war schematics, but the truth of the truth is the truth, right? If this would have been Microsoft, and I think Pong, I think BitCloud, I think Crispy Bomb, I think even you, Dreadpool, would agree, there would have been a bazillion stories talking about how they have turned their backs on their community, how they lied. Here's the documentation. Here's the black and white. Here's this, that. And we have not heard anything from the gaming media. And it's been a little even light with some of the bigger PlayStation brand, podcasters. They should have been the first one to come out here, because you are what Sony hears. And you got to go out there and say that this is wrong. You can't say that this is good. Where do you fall with what everyone has had to say, Dread?
Where are the pocket watchers, right? Where are they? They're the ones that were sitting there pocket watching Game Pass, and how bad of a deal it is. Where are they now? You know what I mean? Yeah, you want to support the company. You want to support the devs. You want to support, people that are making these games so that way they can stick around. But how many times do we have to put the bat into the broken glass before we shove it where the sun don't shine, before you decide that it's not a fun feeling?
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like these guys, and it's finally, I'm noticing that it's finally calming down. But how many people still said, I bought that the Xbox One X because it was supposed to have VR. Where's the VR? And it's like, why are you bringing something like this up again? And you turn it around like, wait a second, you're still pocket watching back then, and saying that, hey, look, I bought this console because Phil said something and never came around. Phil did say, look, we looked into it, we found out that even though we wanted to do it, it just wasn't feasible, right? Same thing here. Where are we at? They said that we're going to have a upgrade path. What happened? We don't know where it's at. Could it be tomorrow, like Pong said? Things can change. Maybe they realize, oh, we effed up. So tomorrow, I'm just saying tomorrow. It's not going to be tomorrow, but within a few days. Yeah. Oh no, someone's going to quote me on that, right? So you said tomorrow. Someone's going to say, look, with all this stuff going on, it's a digital thing. We can do this, no problem. We'll just have to, just do a few things and we'll take care of it. And they could do that. What happened? Oh, you brought it up earlier. All of us as gamers went against Xbox and said, wait a second, Microsoft, why are you doing this? It wasn't just Xbox, because it was actually Microsoft that did it. Somebody else. Well, no, it was underneath Phil. But still, Phil had no idea until it was too late. It already went into action, But what happened? We all band together as gamers, right? Not one side or the other, as gamers, and said, this isn't right. And they doubled back and said, yeah, you're right. This wasn't supposed to happen. Someone got in their head, whatever. Whatever the real story is, we still won't know. But that was their story, right? So same thing here. Why is it now PlayStation bashing? It's not. We're getting together as gamers to say, this is not right, Sony. This is not right, PlayStation. You said something, and now you double backed on it and pretended like you never said it. How many times have they said it with the games? This is only PS5. It cannot be done on PS4. Oh, guess what? It can be. And we just had a dev. And granted, the dev kind of oversimplified it when he said that you can play Ratchet and Clank on a PS3. That was an oversimplification, and people took with it but I've said it before. You should be, from what I'm seeing, the SSD has nothing to do with this. You could still play this game on a PS4.
Right.
You know what I mean? I said that back when. I'm like, no. If we could do Portal, granted Portal isn't the same. And yet again, here we are looking at Psychonauts. They're doing the same thing. When there's one video that I saw that someone was literally showing the difference, going, look, I'm going into this world, standing in a doorway. You know what I mean? So, but when you lie like that, you need to get called out. Yet again, respectfully. People got to be respectful and ethical about how they call these people out. You can't be threatening devs for their lives to say, hey, I don't like this. They got nothing to do with it. And all it does is slow them down from doing the real job, and it's to bring us games, So if they got to stop and think and be worried, they're not going to do this, and they're not going to give us quality games. So, and then you wonder why some games get pushed back. Well, you threaten them how many times?
Yeah. Well, the threatening was ridiculous. I mean, we saw that happen with Austin Evans, and he actually, it was so bad that he actually had to do a reaction video to it, which I watched yesterday.
Yep.
And it's
wild.
It's pretty egregious.
But that's a testament, though, if you think about it. Again, this is why devs are scared. They don't want to face this type of backlash. Like they don't say nothing. They're afraid. That's why they go, hey, guys, we're going to have to just delay it for this week, or delay it by a month, or delay it by a whole year.
But even even those delays, though, they get threats. Why are you delaying my game?
Yep.
Well, didn't you just complain that the game looks like crap, but yet you're going to complain that you don't have your game, right? Last year, I said, I would take Halo as it is. I wanted to play it. I wasn't complaining about it. I mean, the pop-ups really weren't that big of a deal because I knew that they would fine-tune all that, and it was an old engine, da-da-da-da-da. But I was happy. I would have taken it. Am I glad that I waited? Hell yeah.
Yeah, of course we are.
What we got now.
Yeah.
But that's the whole thing. I didn't sit there and be like, you guys sucked. You guys this and that. Why are you delaying the game? And now what are we dealing with? We're dealing with that whole co-op thing, but it's the same situation. You got to be able to criticize Sony to say, hey, look, and you're not being I mean, BitCloud, how are you an Xbot? It makes no sense when you get called out like that. It's like, wait a second.
Dudes called me Bot Cloud. I was like, who the hell was Bot Cloud? It's like, you're a bot. I'm like, okay, I'm a bot now, apparently, because I'm asking for
crazy? If you compared trophies and platinums, they would probably not. They would pale in.
You can line the 30 of them up, and BitCloud will still smoke them with the trophies.
That's the thing. Like they go to these extents, though. They'll label me as this, that, and the third. But when it comes to just putting up the numbers and everything, there's no comparison. And it's like they fail to realize that, unlike contrary to popular opinion, this guy has actually, interacted with.
No, he's actually a PlayStation player, which is well represented by your.
But I don't. You see, and I don't see him as a PlayStation player. I see him as a gamer.
Yeah, me too. No, I'm just saying for the general conversation.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
But that's the difference. We see him as a gamer because we know he games. He enjoys playing on the PlayStation, right? That's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. How many people? I mean, we grew up, and I know Boom was with me on this one. We grew up playing in the arcades.
Yes.
Okay, so there's a difference there. Some of these people just chose a side. There's not really a side.
They went with the flow. That's what they went for. Like, hey, what's the most popular side? They didn't bother to test their options.
You don't want to be a loser
for them. That's what it is. Yeah, they don't want to be left out of the conversation. Everybody wants to be. Hey, you know what? Did you know that Xbox sucks? Oh, really? Yeah, sure. Xbox sucks. That's how dudes reacted on this. Like, and the reason why I said it like that, it goes back to Horizon. Y'all remember when we first saw Horizon? All of us on this panel, we were like, that game looks fantastic, right? Yeah. One person, my friend Jack Moo, shout out to Jack Moo, but he was like, yo, guys, on some real, I don't think it looks that great. He was just saying his opinion. He said, like, it could have been better if it was only PS5 only. And I jumped on here, and I'm like, you got a point. Any game could look better, right, if it was only next gen. You know what's funny? People in that chat, though, I've seen them from my chat. They were like going, it was amazing that day, but all of a sudden, it don't look that good because of cross-gen.
Yeah.
So I'm like, some of you dudes don't think for yourselves. You clearly don't you don't know what you want. You just think, you just go over the flow and you want to look cool with the people. It's like, that's not how it goes here. You want to be honest with yourself.
Right. And that's the other thing is people forget, though, when you're in the excitement and everything, you say stuff before you sit back and realize, hey, look, maybe this isn't what I thought because it was my initial reaction, and now that I know more information, I've changed my mind. But these guys don't do that. They go with what is the funniest way to clown somebody else. You know what I mean? And that's all they do. They want to be on top. And that's what we should not be doing. We should be joining together as a force against the companies because all they want is our money, right? They're all three of them, all 5, 6, however many other companies out there that are doing the same thing on the smaller scale, right? They're doing the same thing. They're trying to get our money.
Yes,
they're giving us a service that they can, whatever the product is, but they want the money. It's not that they're doing it out of the kindness of their hearts. You know what I mean? And that's part of the thing. You have to look good for your customers. Your consumers are the ones that do all this, right? But we are fighting a battle that they're not even fighting. Really?
You know what I think it is too, Dreadpool? Remember how we're so used to hearing Sony in a positive light, so to speak, especially coming from the PS4. I think dudes just programmed to they want to just hear nothing but positive. And I think that's what it is because personally, we didn't have really any issues with PS4 aside from the hardware, but limitations. But that was on Xbox as well. So it's like that was it. Now we're at this point now, and it's like, oh, dudes think there's some conspiracy. It's not a damn conspiracy. There's some basic stuff here that Sony fumbled on. Yeah. Even going back to the damn simple stuff is information for the SSDs. Y'all remember that debacle? Yeah. Dudes got issues with that. They're like, oh, no, it's not that big of a deal. It kind of is because we didn't know what the hell to go for.
People were fighting with teraflops, not knowing what a teraflop was.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So they're taking these terms that mean something, but not enough as a whole picture. They mean something in a specific area of what it's supposed to be measuring or doing, right? And then they take it as if it's a sword and they're trying to jab people with it. And it's like, no, this is not what you think it is.
Yep.
This is totally different, and you're making it into something that it's not. Now,
with that said, Dredd, and you're 100% right. I think that we have, and again, it's what happens is you see the immaturity in people come out.
Oh yeah,
that is the simple bottom line. Again, folks, listen, if you are someone that are wondering, real quick, Max the Lazy Otaku drops a $5 super chat and asks this. Boom. The answer is simple. Media isn't covering Sony's negatives because the company will blacklist and cut them off, and the company does not like that. Indeed, and it's funny.
A lot of people are talking about not getting PS5, so that might be an issue. That might be a thing.
A lot of stories.
It could be an issue, but it's something I'm considering discussing on Monday evenings, primetime gaming. I'm working with the guys on the panel to decide whether or not, because we do have some information on someone, an ex-journalist who was blacklisted by Sony for saying something negative about the company. And the journalist has come out to talk about that and says that is a reality. That is something that is happening. And we've heard rumblings of this. Now, I don't know if we're going to cover it. I have to see if there's enough. I don't want to waste anyone's time. I certainly don't want to waste my time researching it and then just try to grasp at straws, because then it becomes a hate fest, and I don't like that for my shows. But we will see. What I'm writing now and what we're going to discuss on Monday will be advertised soon enough. But listen, folks, this has been a great 2 hours. I hope that everyone has a very incredible, fun, but more importantly, folks, safe holiday weekend with your friends and your family. Again, this is, I'm not doing a public service announcement here, but please, COVID is still around. People are dying left and right. In fact, more people now are dying now than they did in the main pandemic last year. That's because people are getting complacent. People are getting think that this thing is going to go away, or they think that this is some sort of a government ploy. Folks, just be safe. Take precautions. And if just remain safe. Of course, I want to thank the few new channel members that we got today. It's greatly appreciated. The super chats were in abundance. And once again, honestly, I'm humbled every time they come in, because I don't do this for money. I do this for the love of gaming, and of course, more importantly, this community. And those super chats and memberships do get returned back to the community in a big way. So thank you so much for that. So let's get to our special guest, and then we'll get the rest of the outros. Pong, you got something coming up tomorrow morning. I'm usually there making breakfast for Mrs. Boom, and I'm listening to you, and I'm getting in the chat. Tell everyone about Living Split Screen and where you might be tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Well, thanks for the invite again, Boom. Glad I could make this happen. Great way to start, like I said, the holiday weekend. Nice 3-day weekend. Chat, absolutely amazing. Great discussions, as always. Phenomenal people everywhere in this community. Love seeing you all. Thank you for all coming out and supporting us. Big Cloud, obviously Crispy and Dredd. Awesome to be on here to the show with you guys, gentlemen. Always a great time. Love your opinions. And the knowledge you all bring. This is just always, God, man, I just love this. Like I said, it gets more and more special as real life takes over again, now that we're starting to get back a little normal again. So this is just always a special time for me. But hey, look, guys, if you were looking to hear me talk, guess what? You're in luck. So 4 shows in 2 days. So starting with Breakfast with Boom. So I got you covered. So tonight, Xbox Ultimate, obviously over on Fun Speculation's channel with Mav, a.k.a. Fun Speculation, his amazing wife, Caitlin, and the rest of the Magnificent Seven. We will be there 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. Come check us out. Tomorrow morning, like Boom said, Living Split Screens. Split Screens, all one word. My brother, Steel Rain, and I are ready to wake you up just like Boom does on Fridays. So get over there, 9 a.m. Central Time, or 9 a.m. Central Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. UK time. Living Split Screen. Man, we just keep having longer and longer shows. Last week was 3 hours and 45 minutes, but just drop on, see what we're talking about. We always have a good time, chats included. So just check us out. And then tomorrow night, the Shop Podcast is back. That's right. Last week was our first episode back. PTK Blam is back in the community and doing good. So we are ready to rock and roll. 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. Love that show. Fuzzy Belvedere, Centurion, and maybe Staggerilla is going to be back this week as well. So come check us out there. 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central. But again, love you all. Nothing but respect for everybody out here doing the right thing. And you know what? Play what you love what you play. Have a fantastic extended weekend for those of us that do have an extra day off. And I will check you all soon.
Yes.
Later.
Thank you so much for being here, brother. And of course, Big Cloud Gaming, I want you to talk about your channel. I want to talk about where can people reach out to you and potentially strike up a conversation, but also what you got going on with someone from Resident Evil 8 making an appearance live on the air.
So I know Boom is just, he's tempted for this one. So let me start. All right. So first of all, shout out to everybody in the chat. Pong, good to talk to you as always. Crispy, Dreadpool, Boom, brothers. Hit that like button if you haven't done so already. And of course, let's go ahead and get into where you can find me. You can find me, Big Cloud Gaming, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. Later today, 5 p.m., we're going to talk about this whole PlayStation thing on my channel. It's Big Cloud Gaming. And after that, on Saturdays, you can find me at the Platform Live. That's another show I do with my friend Danny and everybody else. I'll also be on Game On Daily tomorrow as well, so you can see me there.
Nice.
And for the big piece de resistance that Boom is hyped for. So I announced this on Twitter already. If you followed me on Twitter, you would know. But on Tuesday, or I think it's either Tuesday or Wednesday. I think it's Tuesday. We're going to have a special guest from the cast of Resident Evil Village. We have Becca Pruitt, who is the voice of Bella Dimitrescu. She's coming through, and we're going to be talking about not only Resident Evil, but of course, just how Capcom works in a sense and how things are. That show is going to be 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on my channel as well, and I can't wait to actually talk to her about it. Yeah, it's Tuesday. I had to recheck it. So yeah, Tuesday, 5 p.m. But yeah, it's going to be fun, man. I'm looking forward to that show. Can't wait.
Yeah, so that's a big get and well deserved. The competition, obviously, of 10K was well deserved, and this is
Boom
just
there,
another.
man.
Yeah, we'll get there. It's just mathematics, folks. Again, if you're new, and I don't say it enough, consider subscribing to the channel. If not, we are close to 10K. I mean, we're about 1,100 subs away. We're not going to get there this year. At least I don't think so. It's possible, but it would be great if we closed out 21 with that kind of a big win. That'd be a big win for me. This channel, you never know when you do YouTube whether you're going to succeed. And so far we're close to 9,000 subs. And if you are new, consider subscribing. And if you want to see Boom hit that 10K, help me promote this channel. But thank you so much. And Crispy Bomb, let's get your outro, brother. Where could people reach out to you on social media and potentially find you on other shows?
Always a pleasure, gentlemen, and shout out to the chat. We definitely had a fiery conversation at the end there, but it's warranted, so enjoy that. At Crispy Bomb on Twitter, Crispy Bomb 28 Xbox Live. You can find me on Retro Renegade 7 p.m. Tuesday nights. We got the next podcast 8 p.m. Thursdays, and of course back here Friday morning, Breakfast with Boom.
Well, thank you so much for that. And of course, real quick shout out to Caitlin and of course, Mad Fun Speculation in the chat. And obviously, check out Xbox Ultimate Podcast tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is a great show, folks, and the atmosphere is very, very family oriented. Pong, obviously, we talk about this all the time. The cast that you have over there is just, that's why they're called the Magnificent Seven, because everyone over there is fantastic, and definitely check out that show. And of course, Crispy, thank you for being here, brother. And we look forward to seeing you back next week. And Dreadpool, do me a favor, brother. Tell everyone about Breaking Bread with Dread, and where could people reach out to you on social media?
Oh, okay. As always, first and foremost, thank you to the chat for showing up and hanging out with us and interacting with us. And thanks, Pong. Hey, check out the time. 12:12. I got in around 10:12. Nice. So it's only been 2 hours, right? And Pong and I apparently are known to take a show into 4 hours. We did not go 4 hours. I've only been here 2 hours. So, but
those 4-hour shows, you're gonna need a chiropractor, brother. That's what I'm gonna say.
So, but yeah, as always, Boom, Big Cloud, and Crispy. it's always great to see you guys every week that I don't sleep in or end up at work. So, but anyway, yeah, like back to the outros. Breaking Bread with Dread, the last one. Pong knows this gentleman very well. The last one I did was with Psychonauts.
Nice.
So he came down and ended up being able to make it. So we didn't broadcast it until it happened. So, but yeah, definitely check it out. It's on Anchor FM, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple, all those, Stitcher and Outcast, Outbox, all that stuff. So, but every Wednesday night you can find me on Game Beyond the Box. Every Friday morning, like I said before, 10 a.m. is when we start. 10 a.m. Eastern is when we start here.
Nice.
Breakfast with Boom. And if anywhere else you need to find me, just look up Linktree/Dreadpool. All letters.
Nice. Well,
And
thank you
it's
so
got all
much
the
for being
links.
here. Well, thank you for being here, brother, and
Thank
definitely
you.
love what you're doing over at Breaking Bread with Dread. Very unique, very different, and people should definitely check it out for sure. Listen, folks, once again, thank you so much for spending 2 hours of your Friday with us. Hopefully you have an amazing weekend, and this was the start of it. Of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you, and that's something that my dad taught us when we were young, and he said, son, treat others how you want to be treated, and also it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, and I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone, and we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom.